Interest group political theory, state-centered theory, neo-institutionalism. Hello. It's a social welfare study channel, Social Welfare Insight. In this session, interest group political theory, state-centered theory, and let's find out about neo-institutionalism. Then, shall we first look at the theory of interest group politics? Interest group politics theory focuses on the political power of various interest groups. The development of social welfare policies has led to fierce competition among these interest groups. It's a theory that explains that it comes from the mediation process of the state. For example, there's an elderly group. The advantage of the theory is the development of the welfare state. It focuses on the political competition of various groups. The limitation is that the theory is only applicable to diversified democracies. There is a limit to explaining the development of the welfare state by election politics. What is state-centered theory like? The state-centered theory emphasizes the active state role as a social welfare provider. The state plays an important role as an actor in the policy-making process. Depending on the characteristics of different countries, the results of social welfare policies corresponding to them are different. The bottom line is that the state influences the decisions of all actors in society who participate in some form of policy. What is the important state autonomy in state-centered theory? It refers to the amount of power that the official in charge of policy can exert in the process of negotiating policies with various actors in society. A centralized, unionist form of government, or a government that tends to expand the budget that it can occupy, seeks to expand the welfare state. Loyal, skilled bureaucrats and abundant financial resources are one of the key factors in the power of the country. State-centered theory emphasizes state as a variable. It's not just an attempt to expand the explanation of the interest group theory by incorporating the state into a group that wants to pursue its own interests. The country's policy-making process is designed to help people in a position of choice. It provides the special expertise needed to access and solve problems. This expertise and choice is related to past policy-making experiences, determines the direction of choice for the present and the future. Finally, I'm going to look at neo-institutionalism. In neo-institutionalism, institutions, at the same time, affect the interests of actors. It refers to any system of state and society that structures the power relations of actors. The application of state-centered theory is linked to the development of a neo-institutional approach. In neo-institutionalism, the interaction between actors, rather than the system itself. I'm interested in the influence and relational aspects of restrictive and disciplined institutions. The preferences and interests of individual actors are formed in the institutional context. The transfer system limits the government's ability to shape and enforce policies. It affects the actions of political and economic enforcers. Therefore, in order to properly understand each country's policy formation and development, the unique historical context is also important. Act as a major factor in context formation. The importance of the system itself should be emphasized. Then, we need to know what's important. What is the role of the system? The system constrains the government's ability to shape and enforce policies. It also provides opportunities for political and economic actors. On the other hand, by playing a role in constraining their actions, they decide on their strategy. As the system affects the distribution of power among political and economic actors, it determines the influence of actors on policy outcomes. In the end, the system is a system where the actors are. By influencing how to define one's interests or preferences, you can say that it's responsible for specifying the purpose that actors are pursuing. In neo-institutionalism, the importance of the state as an actor is emphasized. National relationships include the expansion of organizations and increased opportunities for promotion through the expansion of public institutions, such as social policy. You can seek to improve the status of members, such as improving their status. At the same time, he has his own unique resources to expand and implement his interests, using professional expertise to identify problems and seek solutions. Control information, mobilize supporters. At the same time, you can limit the resources and activities of the opposing group. The meaning of neo-institutionalism is beyond the microscopic analysis of human behavior. We tried a macroscopic national and institutional approach since the 1980s as an alternative theory to the argument that capitalism will converge to neoliberalism. The argument that different development models are formed according to the historical conditions of each country. It also has a supportive theoretical position, but there are limitations. First, it's revealed in the process of measuring core concepts. Because it's hard to manipulate national autonomy, it is not easy to conduct research in many countries, because there is a limit to the validity of the measurement tool. In general, there are many historical case studies of the Han. We have no choice but to rely on historical comparative studies between 2 or 3 countries. Therefore, comparative studies between countries show that a particular government or state type it is only focusing on the comparison of whether more effort has been put into welfare. Why a particular country preferred a particular direction failed to provide generalized explanation. There is also a lack of explanation for the patriarchal nature of the state and government. Historical welfare states ignore gender issues. It's been criticized for developing into a bourgeois male-dominated country. In fact, the welfare state has a problem with women who have been excluded from long-paid work. It's been treated as private. By excluding them from equal citizenship, they are disqualified from receiving rights of their nature. It's just that we're subsidizing reproduction. I've treated them as non-independent members of the family. This nature of the welfare state controls women. It reflects the intention and purpose of the patriarchal policy architect to regulate it. You can see it. That's all for this time. I had time to look into interest group political theory, state-centered theory, and neo-institutionalism. This concludes the theory of social policy development. And in the next session, we will look at the theory of welfare state typology. If this video was helpful, please subscribe and like. Your little attention makes the owner of a social worker site. Who wants to be lazy work? Thank you for watching this for a long time.